So if you guys can, will you please help me welcome OG as he comes to show you.
Hi guys, how's everybody doing? Thanks, I appreciate it. I mean, Mike warmed us up already, but how's everybody doing? That was very, very weak. I'm sure you can do better than that. So when I ask you a question now, you guys have to really make me feel loved up here. But we're in this series that's called You're Doing It Wrong. And we've seen a lot of funny memes and stuff like that. And a lot of times, this week we're talking about taking risks. All right? And there's a lot of ways you can take risks. So I want to show you a couple pictures here. Like, this is one way you can take a risk. Not necessarily the best way to move a large item. Let's try another one here. I've ridden a motorcycle before, and I'm pretty sure that they're doing it wrong there. And then I think we've got one more here. This is not the way to paint over the stairwell, right? But you see, it doesn't have to be. Okay. There's that one too. You're definitely playing Hungry Hippos wrong. But it doesn't have to be like that. And I don't want you to do any of those type of things that you just saw right there. I want to talk to you guys about taking risks in a way that will lead you to much better and safer results. So I want to ask you guys a question. How many people believe in the quote, you reap what you sow? In other words, whatever you put in, you can expect to get out. Yeah? No? Show of hands, you believe in that? All right, good. So if you expect your best, and you want your best, then I guess you better give your best, right? You better give your best. And God actually has a plan for you that is for your best life. And not the best life kind of thing like Oprah Winfrey or the other people like hashtag, yeah, everything's great. Okay, no, none of that, but your actual best life. And the way to get that best life is to follow God's plan and actually get your blessed life. The blessed life. So, real quick, if you guys believe that God has a blessed life waiting for you, please say, I do.
I do.
Okay, if you are ready to get out there and seek that best life, say, I am.
I am.
Okay, if you think that with your faith combined with your natural God-given abilities that you can have that best life, say, I can.
I can.
And if you're willing to accept that challenge and start today seeking that blessed life, say, I will. Okay, good. So I've been blessed with a very unique and interesting life. Because at a very young age, I knew that God had a blessed life planned for me, but it was something far beyond what I could imagine in my own head. So I just wanted to follow wherever He led, and the thing was, I subscribed to this idea that if I was going to have this blessed life, that I had to get active. I had to be a participant in my life, and I had to get up and get active, and I had to start doing. It became a mantra, start doing. Say, start doing. Okay, it's a simple mantra, but it's one that has carried with me for my whole life. And because of that, I've actually been more places, I've seen more things, I've met more people, and I've had more things happen in my life than most people have in their entire life. And it's really awesome, and I'd like to share some of those things with you. So the thing is, though, you just have to get active. And a lot of people get nervous. For instance, let me just say, do you know what one of the scariest things for anybody to do is, one of the biggest fears in the world? Public speaking. Voila, here I am in front of you, right? I got my eyes on you, Joe. But anyway, what happens when you get scared is you have this thing, and I know Chris likes to get nerdy, so I'm going to say this. It's called a visceral response. Now, your whole body, in Latin, all your organs and stuff are called your viscera. Do we have that up there? So all your organs and everything together, it's called your viscera. And what happens is whenever you have an emotion, you have a visceral response. Like, let's take fear, for instance. If you're afraid of something, then all of a sudden your pulse quickens, maybe you sweat, you get like a tension in your stomach, or whatever. You have a visceral response. If you're in love, your heart beats a certain way, whatever. All these emotions that you have evoke this visceral response. And you need to check in with that, because that's going to help you as a guide for what you really should be doing in your life and how you really feel about something. Because you can't fake the visceral response, right? It's just your natural gut reaction. So a lot of times what happens is our mind and our heart get disconnected because our heart is the thing that's telling us to go do this amazing thing that we want to do, and our mind is like, no. You gotta hold up a second. Here's all the obstacles. Here's all the things in the way. Let's get logical. And it's important to have a good balance of them, but a lot of times what happens is we feel these feelings and we feel these emotions, and we always just end up more spending time up here and not spending enough time in here. Okay, and those visceral responses, those nervous anxieties, those feelings, those are the ways that God is nudging you in the direction that He wants you to go. Whenever you feel that pull, whenever you feel like you're being led in a certain direction, you get afraid of that, that's God. In my life, it definitely has been. So you got to check in with that a little bit. And I mean, God's not going to send you a text message that just says, you know what, on this morning, I'd like you to get this for breakfast, wear this for your clothes, go hang out with these people, go to this place, and I'm going to give you that blessed life. He's not going to do that. But He's going to ask you to pursue the best life. He's going to ask you to get active and get involved and start doing. Like I said before, start doing. Everybody say start doing. All right, has anybody ever been to a physics class? Anybody know anything about physics? All right, there's two different types of energy. You have potential energy and you have kinetic energy. Can you show me the next slide, please? All right, so right there you have a boulder sitting on top of a rock. Potential energy is stored up energy that hasn't been exercised. And kinetic energy is the energy of motion. So right now, that boulder up there has a lot of potential energy. It's sitting there, it's got gravity pulling it down, it's round, it's sitting on the edge of a cliff. And if it were to start moving, it would roll really fast, it would knock things over, and it would be pretty much unstoppable. But the thing is, just like that rock that's sitting there, you guys all have potential and kinetic energy as well. And the dangerous thing about potential is, I mean, potential is great. Someone says, oh, you got such great potential. Oh my gosh, you're amazing, you have such great potential. But the thing about potential is if it's unexercised, it can be wasted. So the energy that rock has right there, that rock's been sitting there for hundreds and hundreds of years, and who knows, it could sit there for hundreds and hundreds more. So the potential that you have in your life, if it goes unexercised, can be wasted. So the potential you're sitting here with right now, you could be sitting there with 10 years from now. There are people that go to the end of their life and they never exercise their full potential. God doesn't want that for you. You have to start doing. You have to get active. Now, we all have dreams. We all have things that we want. And like I said, those are the things that sometimes we get all fluttery and scared about. But if you're going to get active and you're going to start doing, and you're going to seek that blessed life, God doesn't want you to just go after the things that are easy for you. He doesn't want you to just go after something that He knows that you can do. You got to aim high. Because that's how you get the best results, and that's how you get the best sense of accomplishment. So apply to that job that you've always wanted, or tell that boy or that girl that you like them, that you're afraid of. You're trying out for that club or that sports team or that band or whatever it is that you've wanted. Try that activity that you've always been afraid of. Ride that roller coaster at Hershey Park. Extreme! Right? But whatever you do, don't limit yourself and start doing. So it makes me think of Matthew 7, 7, and 8. Okay, we have that up here? Let's read it together. Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be open to you. For everyone who asks receives, the one who seeks finds, the one who knocks, the door will be opened. Thank you, one person that read with me. That was awesome. Anyway, what are the three things that they say? Ask, seek, and knock. Okay? What do they all have in common? Actions. They're actions. They require you to do something. You have to ask, you have to seek, you have to knock. Because then the promise of Matthew 7, 8 comes, where it says, for everyone who asks receives, and the one who seeks finds, and the one who knocks, the door will be open to you. But if you don't do anything, then nothing happens at all. And then it reminds me of James 4:2, where it says, you do not have what you want because you don't ask God for it. God's ready. He wants to bless you. But you have to get active. You have to ask, seek, and knock. Now, I told you that at a very young age that I knew that God had a plan for me. And I began to get kinetic and start doing, asking, seeking, knocking, the whole deal. So I also told you that I want you to be bold and big and aim high. So let's just go back to young OG, okay? When I was a little kid, look how cute, right? Right? I mean, check out the next picture. I mean, I had swagger. Look at that. I was like modeling, hey girl. Okay? So at that age in my life, I went and I was like, you know what? I'm in first grade. I'm going to try out for the school play. And I tried out for the school play and I got the #1 role. Go ahead, check it out. I was the father, okay? I was the father in the play. And you can tell that I was the father because I had that sweet clip-on tie on my rad Duranimal shirt. Yeah, awesome. So, you know, it was all good. And I took chances and I got that part. And things went on like that through elementary school and whatnot. And, you know, and then I went into, like, out of elementary school into junior high school. And that little cute little boy, you know, something went terribly wrong. Because in junior high school, this guy showed up. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for real, look at that hair. I didn't know what to do with it. My pencil neck, and of course the turtleneck. And I went through this really prolonged turtleneck period because this was like 6th grade and then this was like, I don't know, 8th or 9th grade. But anyway, I'm telling you, that's some good looks right there. But here, I'm gonna tell you an example about how this guy took a chance. Now, I told you to aim high, and so there was a girl that I liked named Melissa, all right? And I wanted to ask her out, and she had just recently broken up with her longtime boyfriend, Brian. A long time was probably like 2 months or whatever, but she had broken up with him, and so she was on the market, and this guy, that guy, was really, really excited to ask her out. So I had it all planned out. I had lunch with Alyssa, and I also had my last period class with her. So of course I figured in my mind I'd ask her out at lunch. Then in my 9th period class when I was done, I would, you know, have my class with her, the new couple, and then we would walk hand in hand out to the buses, swaggering, because of course she would of course say yes, especially when you got that going on. So you know, I went and I asked her out at lunch. She was sitting right next to her friend, and she was like, and then her friend like kind of giggled a little bit, which of course I took as like a really good sign. And then she says, hey, can I just tell you in last period class? I was like, absolutely, of course that means yes. So she was gonna tell me later on. So I was super excited, because clearly she was gonna say yes at the end of the day. And I went to my last period geography class where we had mapping, and I had to you know, pencil in all these different maps and stuff, and we had all these colored pencils, and my teacher had this huge metal coffee can full of colored pencils up at her desk. And everybody would just go and take what they needed and go back and forth. Now, Alyssa still hadn't said yes or no to me yet, or yes, of course she didn't say yes. And so I was going over to return my pencils, and I'm pushing the pencils into the can, and at that moment, Alyssa comes up to me and she's like, Kevin? And I look at her, and she's like, I'm sorry, but no, I don't want to go out with you. And just at that moment, I'm pushing the pencils down, and I literally push the entire can off onto the floor. The whole thing shatters on the floor. Clang, clang, clang. The big thing's tumbling all around. And right there in front of my teacher has heard, and everyone else has heard, that she basically said no to my proposition. I'm completely red to match my shirt. And I was completely embarrassed. And to add insult to injury, now I had to get down on hands and knees and pick up hundreds of pencils, put them back in the can, and walk around. So, right. But you know what? That was then. And you know where Alyssa is now? Me neither. It doesn't matter. And the reason that the story of my life is not one of sadness is because this is my life now. That's my wife. And those are my children. So in the realm of life, I win, right? God has that blessed life. Do you personally believe that he has that blessed life? If you believe, say I do. I do. And if you're ready to get out and seek that life, say I am. And if you think you can have it, say I can. And if you're willing to accept the challenge and go after it today, say I will. All right, so I also told you that I had a very unique life. So I just want to show you a couple things right here. I hosted some events with some celebrities. Go ahead, next one. We'll just go quickly through this. I was a host for a game show for Merv Griffin Productions. Next one, I hosted massive shows in front of thousands of people. I preached a sermon in Africa in a town square. I produced multiple Guinness World Records. This is me and Danny Goki up in a crane 100 feet over top of the world's largest t-shirt, which was bigger than a football field. So that's actually the world's largest t-shirt right down there, and me and Danny Goki up there. Next one right there, I've worked with some incredible people. That's Tony Hawk. I'm not sure if you know him, but he's probably the most famous ex-gamer in history. Anyway, so when I tell people about all these different things that I've done in my life and all the people I've met, places I've been and stuff, people always say, like, how did you get into that? Right? So that's like the first question that always happens. And what happened basically was when I was in college, I was really into doing all these adventure sports and crazy fun stuff. And I love the outdoors. I went to East Stroudsburg in the Poconos. And I love to do like kayaking and mountain biking and stuff like that. And then, you know, I would go ahead, sit these, I would do like skimboarding, next one. This is skateboarding, rollerblading, whatever, and ramps. Next one, wakeboarding. Next one, cliff diving. Next thing, snowboarding. Okay, so anyway, so I would always do all these fun outdoorsy types of things, and I started getting people involved with me, and I take them with me. So the thing about having a blessed life is you got to pass on that blessing to other people and make it bigger than yourself. When God's giving you blessing, pass it on. So I started this adventure sport group called the Northeastern Pennsylvania Adventure Sports Society, or NEPAS for short. And when I graduated, I bought this little bus with the 3 members of our club, me and the 2 other members of or officers of my club. And we gutted out the bus and we turned it into like a little Winnebago. We built like bunks in it and stuff, and we headed across country because we wanted to go to all these major national parks. So we were traveling all around the country. We've never been out there. Talk about taking a risk. We're going to go out across country. I was 22. The other guys were 18 and 19 years old. And the first day of our tour, I was at this mountain bike festival in East Stroudsburg University, which is a tiny little university. And I met this guy. Go back a sec. All right. And I met this guy at this festival. He's giving out free samples of Gatorade. And for the sake of the story, his name is Jim. So we head out on the road, and we're going all the way across country, and we end up all the way out in California. And this is the bus. Next picture right there that you saw. This is the bus. And that's me standing on top of it. And this is in Yosemite Valley, right at the base of El Capitan, one of the most climbed and noticeable surfaces to climb in the United States. So anyway, we're all the way down, eventually down to San Diego, California, where the X Games were. And the X Games were pretty much brand new back then. And I'm dating myself, I know. But anyway, they were pretty much brand new. It was a new thing. And what happened was, we were running out of money, and we're 3,000 miles away from home, and I didn't know how we were going to get home. So I prayed. I slept in that bus that night, and I prayed. And I was like, God, help me out. What are we going to do? The next morning, we get up, and I had this idea. The X Games were out on the peninsula in San Diego, and people had to drive in buses out there and wait in a dusty parking lot and everything. I'm like, well, I have a bus, and I can get a lot closer than anybody else. So I started taking people to the front gates with my bus. And I would charge them to get right up to the front, and I would drop them off, and they were super happy to pay me a couple bucks, and I was making some money. But as I'm coming through the back end of this parking lot, I get this knock on my bus, and I hear somebody go, "Hey, NEPAS!" I'm like, who knows NEPAS? I open up the door, and it's that guy Jim from 3,000 miles away at that park who gave me a sample of Gatorade. And I'm like, what are you doing here? He says, I'm working with the sponsors of the X Games. I said, okay, well, do you need any help? Because we're 3 guys, we'd love to help you out. He goes, I don't really need any help, but let me introduce you to the head guy in charge of all of the sponsorships for the X Games. So he introduces me to Travis. I meet Travis, and I said, do you need any help? He says, as a matter of fact, this morning, 3 guys quit on me. This morning, not yesterday, not the next day, this morning. Not 4 guys needed, not 2 guys needed, but 3 guys. And we are 1, 2, 3 people standing right there. So at that moment, I look up, I'm like, okay, God, thank you very much. We ended up getting a job and working at the X Games. For 9 days, I worked there. And I worked with all the different people that were there, and I was as social as I am now, and I was meeting everybody, talking to everybody, getting to know everybody. But my job was just to be like basically a janitor and a maintenance guy and whatever. I would do any job possible. I would go to the warehouses and get boxes for people. I'd clean up trash, whatever. So I'm in the back of one of these tents, and I'm seeing all these MCs that are that are working with the X Games, and they're hosting and doing all this stuff. And one of the MCs turns to me and he says, something just came up. You've heard what I've been saying, here. Hands me his microphone and says, say what I've been saying. Now let me just tell you, this doesn't happen. It does not happen. There's nobody that's ever going to do that. No one that ever has a microphone is going to be like, hey guy that I have no idea who you are that's cleaning up the trash, here, take my job. But he handed me the microphone. And I picked up the mic and I just started talking. I went through his spiel. And immediately all these people's heads turned. They're like, why didn't you tell us that you're an MC? I said, because I'm not an MC. They're like, no, you're an MC. So right in that moment, I ended up getting hired to tour with the X Games for the next 3 years. So, does God have a plan? It's a lot bigger than what I had planned. When I left East Stroudsburg, I didn't know what I was doing. I thought I was just going to go on a national tour. I thought maybe I would start doing some adventure sports stuff. But I left with a job working for the X Games as an MC. Never been an MC in my life. So does God have a plan? Yes, he does. So God had a plan that was bigger than I could even imagine, and I asked him for his help, and I listened as he pulled me in a direction, and I followed. But while I was there, I continued to ask, I continued to seek, and I continued to knock. I didn't just stand there and wait for life to happen. I didn't just stand there and wait for God to move me like a pawn. I followed the nudges, and I listened to what he had to say. So there's this country song, I don't expect that you guys know it, and it's a song that's called Live Like You're Dying. And the song is from Tim McGraw to his father, Tug McGraw, who died of brain cancer. And basically the story says, Dad, when you found out you were going to have cancer, what did you do? And in the song, the response is, I went skydiving, I went Rocky Mountain climbing, I rode a bull, I loved deeper, I spoke sweeter, and I gave forgiveness that I was denying. And then he says, son, I hope that you get the chance to live like you're dying. Everybody always says, that's amazing. Well, I can't tell you how much I disagree with that entire premise of that song. Are you kidding me? Live like you're dying? How about this? Live like you're living. How about that? You guys are all living. You all have opportunities every single day. Why does it take a terminal diagnosis of cancer for you to do something? For you to get active, for you to ask, for you to seek, for you to knock? Why does it take somebody saying you're going to die for you to live? You have to get going. You have to get kinetic. You see, because that's your cue, Nick. I've been skydiving, and I've been Rocky Mountain climbing, and I've also done a whole bunch of other crazy things. So, if you just want to look through here, I'll go quickly through these. I climbed one of the largest trees in the world in the redwood forest. I've ridden horses on the beaches in Mexico. I've gone scuba diving in shipwrecks in Keys in Florida. I've piloted a helicopter. I've ridden a motorcycle down the entire West Coast. I've been a singer in a punk rock band. I've been a professional dancer. I've led the Phillies championship parade down Broad Street on stilts. I toured the country with my wife, driving around in a motorcycle that looked like a giant red high heel. Some of you know because I actually brought them here to the Edge years ago when we were doing this tour. I've done missions work in Africa, and I've built houses for people who have nothing, that literally lived on the edge of a trash dump. And I spent a summer studying and living in Barcelona. Hey, there you go. And there's a ton of other things. I mean, literally it would take me all night and then some to list the things that I've done. But the thing is, every step of the way, I continued to listen to God's guidance and his direction. And I paid attention to those nudges and those pulls in the direction of where he was leading me. See, life is a roller coaster. You have to ride it with your hands in the air, screaming if you want to experience it. Now, sometimes it's going to be scary and you'll end up looking like this girl, or you might end up looking like this family. Okay, and that's okay, because not everything's going to work out exactly as you planned. But, trust me, God's got your back. And he wants you to have the blessed life. So I'm going to ask you again, if you believe that you have a blessed life waiting for you, say, I do. If you're ready to get out and seek that blessed life, say, I am. If you think that you can have that blessed life, say, I can. And if you're willing to accept that challenge tonight and get active and start doing, say, I will. So get involved. Get involved in your life. Listen to God's guidance. Ask, seek, and knock. Get kinetic. Get up, get out, take chances, be bold, and start doing, because the blessed life is waiting for you. Thanks, guys.